the early days of the Sega Genesis, things were simple as gaming transitioned to 16 bits with easy-to-learn games and a controller to match. But as time went on, games started to become bigger, even if the systems got smaller. For example, Mortal Kombat was a game that technically required more buttons than you could find on a common Genesis controller. Sega must have had an idea that more complicated games will require more buttons for a better experience. So in 1993, they came up with a controller to meet this requirement. This is a 6-button controller, another primary controller for your Sega Genesis. I describe it as a 6-button controller and not the definitive one, as there was multiple versions made. This one came with my Model 3 Genesis, as well as this other controller that I assumed was a knockoff, but it may be an official version. The internet didn't help me much, so we'll stick with the one I know is real. For comparison, this 6-button controller is smaller than the 3-button controller, cutting off the fangs to make it a third of its size. It's also more banana-shaped. At least that's how I see it. I can only guess in my weird brain this is what happens when bananas go rotten at Sega. A new feature for this controller was the addition of turbo and slow features. That's what's made this 6-button controller unique to a certain degree. It wasn't on the original MK-1470 model, so you have more to work with when you have this version. While we're in the middle, we might as well highlight the start and mode buttons. I like how the Genesis equivalent of a select button has to be labeled mode, and I might know why the start button is blue. Does it have anything to do with a hedgehog that goes fast? Getting closer to the other inputs, the D-pad definitely has that Genesis feel, but maybe a little softer than on the 3-button variant. It's also elevated more, which I believe works to its benefit. The buttons are all gray to easily show their labeling. The A, B, and C buttons are slightly bigger than your X, Y, and Z buttons, but their placement is solid and so are the actual buttons, as you're able to hear and feel them work. It's a very compact controller fitting in all these features, and if I didn't know any better, it could almost pass as a Sega Saturn controller. This particular model came out a bit later when the Sega Saturn was being conceived, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were made around the same kind of architecture. It's time for everyone's favorite segment on this show, the backside of a controller. Not because it's interesting, more likely because it's short. There is very little to see besides a few screws, the Sega logo, and the common fact that it was made in China. It also has this sticker saying QC Pass 4. Whatever that means. The most important thing to know is the model number, this one being MK-1470. This is another way to tell the difference between 6-button controllers, though the off-brand looking one shares the same model number, so screw what I was just saying. I'm guessing the model number signifies the turbo and slow features, or the same number was shared between two controllers in different regions. Either way, I'm not so sure. What I am certain about is its functionality. So let's insert the controller into a Genesis slot and see how it works with its games. When it comes to the 6-button controller, you're more than likely going to be selective on the games you use it with. Ideally, you'll use it for fighting games like Mortal Kombat and Eternal Champions, but you can still use it for other games. I'm positive it works for just about any Genesis, CD, or 32X game, and some may benefit from it more than others, but that's up to you to figure out the controller that's right for you. It'd be fun at the very least to try out the turbo or slow modes, just to see what it's like. But I doubt it works on the games that matter like Night Trap. Still, the 6-button controller is pretty neat. Not the best looking with weird texture patterns that may make it look like a weird bra, but still built solidly and comfortable. Probably the best out of the few 6-button controllers that are out there, if not the best option for being your primary Genesis controller. You should have at least one in your collection to try out the difference, and heck, you may think it's better than your typical 3-button controller. But the real important question is, can it work on an Atari 2600? And the answer is yes. Yes, it could. That is, if you want to use one out of the plethora of buttons, unless you somehow make it compatible with the video touchpad. Got any fond memories with this controller/accessory? Tell me about it by leaving a comment. If you like what you see, be sure to leave a like. If you think others would like this, share the video around. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button pronto. This is BrianTheBlue, and I'll see you later.